Hi everyone, I'm BS, and today I am going to try to transform Winnie the Pooh, the beloved Disney bear, into a character that my best friend created. I'm going to put a little picture of what we're going to attempt to make. And guys, I did a lot of things here that I've never done before. I 3D modeled. I 3D printed. And let me tell you, 3D modeling, not easy. Working in a 3D space that you can't touch and feel is something that I had to get used to. And then 3D printing, that part was easy. No one really expresses how much sanding is involved with the post process of 3D printing. Guys, it was a nightmare. But we're gonna skip the modeling and the printing and the sanding. And if you guys want a video about how I did all of that, put it down in the comments. Let me know, and I'll do that for you. But enough about that. Let's get into the fun part where I get to transform Winnie the Pooh. Follow me!
So the first thing I did was I coated Pooh in a Pooh color, and I made sure that all of Pooh's skin that was showing was covered in Pooh color, which is like a school bus yellow. So I spray painted school bus yellow. Then I went in with cheap pastels, chalk pastels. And I will say I enjoyed the cheap chalk pastels because you can build up the opacity without starting off too dark. So I just continued to build up the opacity, basically contouring the face with the chalk pastels. And I just keep doing that. I'm giving Pooh a drag beat. Pooh is getting beat for days. Pooh is mugalicious. Or Pooh's getting there. It's a slow journey. And between every layer, I spray Mr. Super Clear to lock it in. And what's also good about these chalk pastels is you look at them and you think, this don't look good. But then you spray on the Mr. Super Clear and it kind of diffuses the chalk. It kind of blends it in, which is very nice. I think it's very nice. So nice. Nice. So yes, we contour all of Pooh. So after I get all the contour on Pooh, I think to myself, Pooh, you looking a little dark. So I take my watercolor pencil and I go in and I highlight the areas that I just want to lighten up a little bit. And then I'm going to take this Q-tip and I'm going to buff it out. And this is just going to soften the pencil marks. So after you buff it out and then you spray on the Mr. Super Clear again, it kind of diffuses all the pencil marks and blends it in even more. It's kind of spectacular. This is also a trust the process, because when you got all these pencil marks on there, you're like, damn, I got a lot of pencil marks up in this house. But then the Mr. Super Clear just blends it all out. It's really nice. So I just keep going in, adding highlights where I think they need to be. It's all about the layers, is what I learned. Because you can bring up the highlights, you can darken in the shadows, you can keep going back and forth and back and forth. You're never really stuck with something. It's always fixable, which I think is very nice. So yeah, we just take the Q-tip, we soften everything. And then I was like, maybe if I put some of this yellow chalk pastel on it, it will blend it even more. And it did. It's all about just trusting the fact that the Mr. Super Clear will do its job. So then once I get all the contouring where I want it, I decide I'm going to sketch in the features. And I'm using a lighter color. I'm using a light brown to sketch in all the features, because from everything I've seen on all these other YouTube videos, it will be much easier to erase this light brown than it will be to erase a black. So that's what I'm doing. Also, I feel like you should just go in with the black at the very end, because I don't want to smear the black and get it all smudgy. So yeah, I put on the nose. She's looking cute. Then I decide to put on the eye sketch. And this is where I hit a very harsh reality. I don't know if I have too many layers on her. I don't know if I didn't let something dry completely. But when I start drawing in this eye area, and I've always heard sharp pencil, sharp pencil, sharp pencil. Well, I have a pencil that's very sharp, and it's beginning to dig into my layers of paint as if it's almost like frosting. It starts to dig in, and it's making me mad. So I go in with a slightly darker brown pencil just so I can get in there lightly and still see the lines without digging into this paint, which it was a struggle. It was making me mad. I go back in and I take that brush and I try to push that paint back down. Not working. I persist though. I keep going. I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. Then I decide to sketch in the eyebrows, and I'm just doing willy-nilly. I want Pooh to have like a very bitchy expression, so I'm kind of doing one eyebrow up, one eyebrow down. Then I fill them out a little more because I'm like, they need to be just a little thicker. So there we have that. And now I'm going to go in and sketch the lips, and we are overdrawing the lip line for days because Pooh needs to be giving drag lips. So we go in and we draw in these lips. And once again, I'm using this darker brown color, but it's going to end up being a very good lip liner. I'm trying to approach this as if I were doing makeup. But guys, I've never done makeup. I've just watched makeup tutorial videos. So once again, this is me just trying. I'm trying to do it like makeup. Now I'm going back in and sketching the eye shapes with this darker brown, trying to get the pupils looking symmetrical. And now I'm going to go in and put on this whore red lipstick, which I'm using another watercolor pencil. And I'm just coloring it in willy-nilly. I'm not doing anything special. It's just stay within the lines, color it in. I'm giving myself an idea of what it's going to look like. Basically, this layer is like the test layer. It's kind of like putting down all the colors and seeing if they work or not. That way you can still change them up if you need to. And I get very anal about the eyes being circular. So now I'm going to go in with a huge fail. I think I'm applying green eyeshadow, but Don't see nothing. Not a thing. Just kind of begins to look muddy. But I keep going. I'm like, okay, I made that side muddy. Let's make the other side muddy. At least if it's a mistake, it's going to be a symmetrical mistake. So I bend in the eyeshadow and I go in with the blush. And I'm blushing Pooh for days. I just keep going and keep going and keep going. Because I want Pooh to be dolled up. I definitely want you to look at Pooh and be like, Pooh's got on some makeup. So now, with the huge fail of the neon green chalk pastel, I go in with a neon green watercolor pencil, and it is serving. It's giving me the color that I wanted. I will end up doing a couple of layers and buffing it out with a Q-tip between layers, but this method builds up a lot quicker and better than the chalk pastel. And you think you're going to see stroke marks, but once you spray it with the Mr. Super Clear, it's so forgiving and it just kind of melds everything together. So see, now I have an idea of what this is going to be. So now I'm going in and I am giving Pooh her 301s, her double stacked 301s. We are giving her luscious lashes. And this, once again, is just a sketch. And I probably trust myself a little bit too much because I am using a very dark brown. But at this point, it's like go big or go home. And I'm a very slow crafter, so for me, I could easily do 10 layers on the lashes alone. But I'm trying to do something new, and I am putting it down in a heavy color, and we're just going to live with what happens. Sometimes you just have to grab the pencil, put your faith in a higher power, and let it happen. And that's definitely what's happening here. But she's looking cute. I think she's looking cute. I mean, here's the thing. This looks like Winnie the Pooh with makeup on, and that's what I'm going for. So far it's a success. Then I get out the cherry red gouache paint. And this is the first time I have ever used gouache paint, and I learned some things. In small areas, the coverage is amazing because it acts just like a very thick watercolor. It goes on super opaque. It glides on like melted butter. It's a joy. But, and this is what I learned the hard way, if you go in and try to paint a big area, the more you touch the dry paint with the wet paint, the splotchier it gets, and it becomes a nightmare. So I learned that gouache paints are good for small areas only. For me. You guys out there may use gouache paints in a different way that works for you, but for me, I learned small areas, quickly painted, works really well for me. And I'm just giving her that little red Corvette lip. And what's really great about it is I can still kind of see the brown pencil underneath the gouache paint. So it's giving lip liner. So now I've decided, all right, it's time for the black pencil. And I'm going in with the black pencil on the eyebrows and just giving little strokes. Because you can still see the brown underneath the black, which gives depth. because I didn't do the black as a solid color. I did little stroke marks. Look like little hairs, little eyebrow hairs. And now we're going in and outlining all the dark brown bits in black. We're just going to color that little nose in, make it black. And guys, when you add the black, it's kind of when the magic begins to happen. Because it's such a contrast to all the colors, this like sharp black, it makes everything really begin to pop. And let me also preface this whole voiceover with, I am not doing a tutorial. I'm simply telling you what I did, what worked for me, because there's a lot of things that happened that did not work. And some of that just got edited out because, you know what? It would have been a very long video with me figuring out what I was doing. See that little nose? It's Pooh's coming to life. All right, so then I'm going in with the black gouache paint. Because for me, and everyone has their own preference, but the gouache paint just goes on so lovely and so easy that it was just nice to kind of get a quick coverage with this gouache paint. So that's what I'm doing now. And if you hear snoring, my dog is laying next to me, asleep, and having a dream. So there we did the eyes. And now I'm going to go in and use that same black gouache and do the lashes. And of course, I wanted to do very dainty, wispy, doll repaint lashes, but they came out chunky, and chunky's what Pooh is getting. But Pooh feels like she wanted a chunky lash, and that's why she got it. Because there are a lot of times where I have an idea of what's happening, and while it's happening, that idea changes. So I'm never fully stuck with a plan. The plan always evolves. With each time I touch the project, the plan changes. So then I'm going in and I'm contouring or body blushing. I'm just putting in all the shadows on the body. This is basically the same thing I did on the face. Just everywhere you would see a shadow from clothing or from body parts, I just put in a shadow. And once again, these shadows initially look stripy, but the Mr. Super Clear will fade them out. You always have to think, Mr. Super Clear will lighten up any of the chalk pastels you put on there. Again, I just go through and I hit all the shadows. and I probably didn't have to show you all of this, but Pooh had a lot of shadows on Pooh's little tummy. And then you know what? You can also just use your finger and blend. That's what I'm doing. There are no rules. Remember that. There are no rules. There's no right way to do any of this. You do it the way that works for you. And you just kind of learn that with trial and error. So I got all the shadows on Pooh. And now I am going to cover all the Pooh colors with masking so I can airbrush the bright red shirt and shoes. I did that off camera because it's not exciting. And here's Pooh with the bright red Pooh shirt. So now I am going in and I'm defining the hairline. And guys, I literally was like, I am doing individual hairs. This is going to be so fierce. It is going to be the best lace front ponytail Pooh has ever had. We quickly changed that plan when we realized that doing individual hairs will take an eternity. But this just kind of gives us a little outline. And it does kind of give us this pulled back individual hair illusion just on the edges. And I'm going in with a brown, and then I went in with the black, which I didn't show you because it was the same thing. But then I thought, oh, I'm going to put some black chalk pastel right on the edge to blend the individual hairs into the solid hair mask that I'm about to create. And I soon realized that this cheap black chalk pastel is not the tea. So I just ended up going in with some black acrylic paint and just going close to the edge so I could still have that single hair edge effect. And everything else I just covered in a solid coat of black, which was so satisfying. Because once I get this black hair on, everything looks the way it was looking in my mind. Once again, trust the process. I get very impatient, and there are many moments where I'm like, none of this is working, but I just have to keep telling myself, each step brings it closer to what it looks like in my mind, or takes it into an area that is complete crap and we got to start over. But luckily, the latter of the two did not happen on this project. So now I'm just going in just a quick, dirty, sloppy coat of black. Just needs to get it on there. Doesn't need to be pretty, doesn't need to be precise, just needs to stay in the ponytail and not. That's why I got that little tape there so I don't get it all over Pooh's back, because I'm feverishly painting the black in like a mad person. So now I tape off the area where Pooh's purse is, and I think to myself, I'm going to go in with some white gesso and whiten this up because I want to do a lime green to kind of match the eyeshadow. And I think, oh, it's going to be easier if I start with a white canvas. But this white paint was crap. And as you can see, it is like painting with milk. It's not covering. It's, I'm still persisting with it because I'm thinking this is going to work. So I get that one coat on and I'm like, this isn't going to work. I'm going straight to this really cheap, really unpigmented lime green paint. But I'm sticking with it because guess what? It's all I got. So we do this like 6 times. Layer, dry, layer, dry, layer, dry. You get the idea. And finally, I end up with a solid coat, but I'm not kidding you guys. It took like 6 or 7 layers, and it was kind of annoying. Which, it goes to show you, yes, you can do things with cheap material. It just takes longer. So sometimes it's just better to spend the extra, $3 and get a good quality product that's not going to drive you insane. So after I get the purse, finally one solid color, I'm going to go in and I'm going to add some shadows. And I'm just willy-nilly putting these shadows on in general areas because I'm going to go in off camera with my lime green pencil and highlight where I want to highlight. And now I'm painting Pooh's cell phone just a dirty, quick black. After I paint this cell phone, I'm just going to do some little touches, put on a few little highlights, and then we're going to get into the final result. And Pooh will become Pooh-Tah. You guys, I think this came out amazing. You know, when you do an art project and when it's done and you realize it's better than what you thought it would be, this is exactly what happened for me and Winnie the Pooh's makeover into Pooh-Tah. I think he is serving. He is cute. I put a little cigarette in his other hand. I made that out of cutting up a Q-tip and just painting it to look like a cigarette. I gave him his little Marilyn Monroe mole. I think Pooh came out amazing. Guys, let me know what you think of Winnie the Pooh's transformation into Pooh-Tah. He could be doing drag. He could be going out for Halloween. All I know is he looks fierce. I am so proud of this. I gave it to my friend. He loved it. This was a triumph. I tried it and it worked. Guys, until next time, subscribe to the channel and I hope to see you soon. Bye.